Welcome to Love Light with Dr. Jean Marie Farish. Today, we'll show you how to use the spirit of love and self-worth to improve the connections with everyone else in your life. This program is your weekly gift, and it will keep on giving. You'll see. Now, here's your host, Dr. Jean Marie Farish.
Hello and a hearty welcome, everyone. I hope you're all faring well. I'm Dr. Jean Marie, your Love Light host, coming to you from the Voice America Empowerment Channel, shining love light into your hearts and homes to empower and inspire you to create a life you love. We are truly grateful to our listeners who tune in live and on demand. Spring is in the air, and our show today is very timely. Purge, Purify, and Cleanse. Awaken to Spring with Julie Coraccio. What's holding you back from being free? What clutter is blocking you from well-being, abundance, and creating space for something new? How can you lighten the load and set yourself free? I share inspirational quotes on simplicity and being present. An inspirational quote by John Kabat-Zinn: voluntary simplicity means going fewer places in one day rather than more. Seeing less so I can see more. Doing less so I can do more. Acquiring less so I can have more. Albert Einstein: out of clutter, find simplicity. From discord, find harmony. In the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. And Buddha quotes, be where you are, otherwise you will miss your life. We have the power to create a life we love, but it takes awareness, knowledge, and action. It may seem overwhelming, but we can take small steps one day at a time. As we see the change and feel better, this in itself is motivating and encouraging, and also sustains us to stay the course, to be free and open our hearts to love. And our guest today, our outstanding guest, Julie Coraccio, is an expert on clearing clutter inside and out, and gives us a refreshing outlook on planning and dealing with change in more positive ways with a new perspective. Founder of Reawaken Your Brilliance, Julie is an award-winning professional life and end-of-life organizer, certified life coach, podcast host, Clear Your Clutter Inside and Out. She's the author of many books, including Got Clutter, 365 Journal Prompts, Reclaim Time, Money, Sanity, and Resources. Julie has been on several Love Light shows, and we are delighted to have her return on this most inspirational show today, Purge, Purify, and Cleanse. Awaken to Spring. Julie, welcome to Love Light.
Hey, Dr. Jean, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Oh, Julie, thank you so much for returning. And as we said, spring is in the air, and you've done so much to inspire people and help people as a coach to clear clutter. What led you into this passion and your work with others?
Well, it was really kind of an aha moment for me, because when I started my business in 2009, I was like, I want to help people heal through organization. And that was the name of my business. But then when working with clients, I had this aha. I'm like, ooh, it's more about the clutter. And as I started my business and I'm doing an internet TV show, I realized that if we clear the clutter, that is where it's most important. And that's where it's going to have the most significant impact. And so as I did my own journey and would work with people, I began to bring that to help my clients. And I get super excited when people clear their clutter, because I say, when you clear your clutter, you can share your gifts with the world. And boy, we need it more than ever right now. With everything going on, we need people to clear their clutter and be their best selves.
Exactly. And to open the way for something new. And Julie, you talk about intentional living, and on our show, we inspire and empower people to create a life they love. But how does organizing and clearing help people with intentional living, and why is this so important?
Well, I would first try to define what intentional living is. So for me, it's a lifestyle based on my values and beliefs. And so that centers around my spirituality. But for someone else, it could be their religious or ethical values or centered, say, on self-improvement. So it really is individualized.
Well,
Organizing.
Yes. No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Now go ahead. Continue.
Organizing, decluttering helps you focus on what matters most, right? Because clutter is the stuff that's not important. When we waste our time doing that, we're really not living intentionally. And when you're organized, that gives you the time, it gives you the space to focus on what's most important. So they kind of go hand in hand, for me at least, when it comes to intentional living.
And Julie, my question to follow up is, do you find that people have to really revisit their beliefs and values?
You know what? I think it's always important to check in with them. And quite honestly, at the beginning of the year, I get my little planner that's really holistic. It gets me excited. I choose a word for the year. And then I try to assess, where am I? Because life happens, right? Life changes. Yes. Things that were important to me in my 30s, maybe not as much in my 50s. And so I think it's really important that we consistently evaluate what we believe, what our intentions are, and where we are. I think that's a really good thing to do.
Julie, I love that you're sharing that, because as you indicated, as we change, experience transitions in life, or get older or whatever, the same things that we used to do in the past may not be applicable for us in the present moment. So thank you for sharing that. And this will be certainly encouraging for listeners as they are inspired to really revisit your values and beliefs. And Julie, how can we set intentions for the spring? Do you have any suggestions or affirmations in terms of how to set an intention?
Absolutely. So for me, when I set my intentions, then I can create my goals from there, because it allows me to focus and remind myself, this is what's important, Julie. This is what you said matters most to you. So here are some quick suggestions for people when they're setting intentions or affirmations, and I'll share a couple at the end, but keep them positive. If you focus on what you don't want, you'll most likely create that, right? Like attracts like, we all know that. So to just focus on what you do desire. Be clear with your intentions. It doesn't have to be something monumental. Maybe it's something like having more joy in your life, right? How wonderful of an intention is that? And joy can show up in a multitude of ways in our life. I'm also a fan of keeping the intentions kind of broad. For example, if your intention is to have better health, again, there are lots of ways that can show up in your life to support you. And remember, you're not trying to control the outcome or create expectations. Be happily surprised at what might come your way. And then I'm a fan of consider having an accountability partner, someone you can check in with and support. And you mentioned, earlier, let's set intentions with the family, right? It's not about you. I like if you have a partner, your family, loved one. It could be your girls group of everyone that hangs out. What would you all like to happen? You can check in and see how you're doing with each other. And then finally, be present with your intentions. If you find yourself drifting to the past when something didn't work, take a deep breath and come back. Or if you find yourself anxious about the future, come back with a deep breath, because your point of power to change is in the present moment. So I'll just share really quickly a couple intentions and a couple affirmations, and we can talk about that if you want, but
sure.
Here are some easy ones. To be fully present while in class. I was giving a presentation just a couple days ago on for teachers in the classroom, and I said, it's a fallacy that we can multitask, right? And so at the end, people were leaving as they asked questions, and I said, if we're done, and so I said, hi, so do you have a question? Because you're the last one here. And she said, I was multitasking, sorry. So obviously wasn't present in my class, but what an easy intention that is. To feel my body in yoga. I'm doing yoga and I really want to feel my body.
Yes.
Or to listen to my heart.
Yes.
And then here are 3 of my favorite affirmations. I am good enough, I am worthy, and I am loved. Right? Pretty simple there.
Yes. Yes. That is so profound. And I love what you said about, having your family or groups in which you can be accountable. And Julie, sometimes we have so many things that we're doing. People look at, oh gosh, this is another task I have to do, but we can make this fun, right?
Oh, 1,000%. Absolutely make it fun. And if you're forgetful, or I would say, when you're in the shower, shampooing your hair in the morning, say 3 quick affirmations. Or if you're living in Los Angeles like you did and you're stuck in traffic, what better way than to say intentions or to share your affirmations instead of stewing that you're in traffic? Or if you're at the doctor's office and you're waiting because they're running late, right? There are little ways that we can do to create this. So not only are you setting intentions and creating affirmations, you're doing that and staying positive and staying present when you're in a couple of examples that could get you angry. Or if you're like, oh, I'm forgetful, but I can remember my shampoo, and say 3 quick things that I'm grateful for, 3 intentions or 3 affirmations, right? It can be fun, it can be joyous, and it doesn't have to be, oh my gosh, another to do.
Indeed. Change the script,
Yes,
move to something more positive. And I love what you shared about multitasking, because that's how I was trained to get more things done, but you really don't.
You don't.
So that is so important, being fully present, because that's part of simplicity. And I love the affirmations. I'm good enough. I'm worthy. I'm loved. Because that really, discard those faulty beliefs of I have to be perfect. I have to keep getting things done, and really, you really burn yourself out.
And you mentioned a moment ago, which I loved, and I'll probably mess up your phrase, but about rewriting that script, right?
Okay.
And so when we do those affirmations or we have our intentions, those are help rewiring our brain. All of us. I don't know anyone who has escaped criticism, especially as a child. I think that really, the younger we are, that can sometimes really stick with us, and we don't have the tools or the knowledge to know that's just a cranky old person. That doesn't have anything to do with me. So as you do these, they help you rewrite that script and retrain your brain.
Excellent. Excellent. And Julie, this brings me to the question of the types of clutter, because we kind of think that it's physical, a lot of stuff you accumulate and have to let go, but you have a more expansive definition of the types of clutter. Please share with our listeners.
I do. So for me, and I'm going to encourage you to consider this as well, clutter is anything that prevents you from creating the life you choose, deserve, and desire. So I want people to expand their awareness. So instead of thinking that the messy desk is, it's just some clutter on my desk, it's preventing you from a promotion, or it's preventing you from sitting down and writing that book, or that closet that's super stuffed might prevent a relationship from blossoming. As you start to see the bigger picture, that's going to make you say, oh, okay, wow, this is really impacting me in ways that I didn't see, and that can help motivate you to declutter.
Yes, yes. And Julie, how does decluttering help you with healing, letting go, and living life fully?
When you declutter, you're releasing, you're letting go. And I want people, as I mentioned my definition a moment ago, remember, it's not just the physical stuff. So maybe it's a preconceived notion that someone had about you that you've been holding on to. I can't remember how I shared the story with you. I vividly remember I was in junior high and the art teacher was like, your art's not very good. Right. And so then I never considered myself an artist. And my mother became a painter in her 50s. And so I'm hoping, my goal on the to-do list when we get the house a little further along is to start painting again, because I took a class when I was a nanny in Cambridge on oil painting. I loved it. And I was good. Like, am I going to be a Picasso? No, but that's not the point of it. So a preconceived notion is maybe something that you need to let go of. And when you let go of all your clutter and things like that, then that allows you to heal. And when you heal, you can live your life fully. How many of you listening right now can honestly say, oh my gosh, I'm 100% all in, living my life fully. I wake up excited. I wake up full of joy. I'm doing something that I'm passionate about and excites me, right? That's about stepping into it and living and loving your life.
Julie, I love that. You know, you talking about the passion, your passion, and clearing helps you make time for your passion and finding joy in things that you love. And I think for our listeners out there, if you've forgotten what gives you joy and brings you passion, you know, reflect. What are things that you really found joy doing? If it's painting or dancing or whatever, revisit those things and find time for that in your daily life.
And I encourage people, if you're like, oh, you know, and you're not alone. I have been like, how do I have fun? Because my definition of fun is very different than what a lot of people think. And so revisit your childhood. Was there something that got you excited, that you were passionate about? And that might hold the key to reignite something in with you, or start down a path and be like, oh, you know what? I never thought of this, but wow, I'm finding joy in doing this.
Wonderful, wonderful. So we asked our listeners to, you know, revisit your childhood passions and dreams, and, you know, find time to be passionate and, you know, create a life that you love, doing things that you love. But now, Julie, it's time for a brief commercial break. Stay tuned for more, listeners, with our outstanding guest, Julie Coraccio, founder of Reawaken Your Brilliance, award-winning professional life and end-of-life organizer, certified life coach, author of many books, including Got Clutter, 365 Journal Prompts, Reclaim Time, Money, Sanity, and Resources. On our show today, Purge, Purify, Cleanse, Awaken to Spring. Stay tuned. We'll return shortly.
Jean Marie Farish's Center for Conscious Loving, LLC, cultivates a lifestyle of love and wholehearted connections through personal growth, altruistic services, and speaking engagements. Resources include classes, workshops, life care coaching, and creative service projects with an emphasis on cultural arts. Visit the website at drjeanmariefarish-consciousloving.com. That's drjeanmariefarish-consciousloving.com. Or click the link on the Love Light show page.
Vicki Winterton and Dr. Jean Marie Farish have compiled a dynamic book, We're All in This Together, Embrace One Another, an anthology with 24 highly diverse co-authors who share how to spread the message of love, resilience, inclusivity, and compassion. This book is an invaluable source of uplifting, inspiring, and positive insights for spreading positivity in the world. We're All in This Together, Embrace One Another is available on Amazon.com. Be sure to get your copy today. Best-selling Authors International news honors best-selling authors around the globe. Dr. Jean Marie Farish is featured in the newly released issue of Published magazine. To have first access to this treasured resource, go to PublishedMagazine.com. Announcing Dr. Jean Marie Farish's new book, Love Mastery Devotion Journal, 21-day weekly prompts and affirmations. This is the companion piece to Dr. Farish's best-selling book, Living in the Spirit of Love, Our Natural State of Being. Through the new book, we invite you to cultivate a lifestyle of love through daily devotional practices over a 21-day period, following 9 ingredients in the recipe of love. Love Mastery Devotion Journal, 21-day weekly prompts and affirmations is available on Amazon.com and Balboa Press. Dr. Jean Marie Farish is proud to announce the release of her new book, Living in the Spirit of Love. Our Natural State of Being, available now at Balboa Press. This book will help you master your life and flourish in love. You'll learn how to become a better and more evolved you. Feel good by making life-affirming choices. Deepen your feelings and expressions of love. Tune in love and sustain the change. And flourish in love and find your joy. Visit BalboaPress.com and search for Living in the Spirit of Love. And enjoy Dr. Farish's new book today.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You are tuned in to Love Light with Dr. Jean Marie Farish. Feel free to connect with our program through email or check out our links on Facebook. Reach Jean at Jean72Farish@yahoo.com. That's Jean72Farish@yahoo.com. And now, back to Love Light.
Welcome back to Love Light, living in the spirit of love. And if you're just joining us, we are with our outstanding guest, Julie Coraccio, on our show today, Purge, Purify, Cleanse, Awaken to Spring. Julie is the founder of Reawaken Your Brilliance, award-winning professional life and end-of-life organizer, certified life coach, author of Declutter, 365 journal prompts, reclaim time, money, sanity, and resources. And I'd like to begin this segment with a quote by Joshua Becker. The first step in crafting the life you want is to get rid of everything you don't. Clearing clutter gives us a sense of clarity, calmness, and control. And Julie, thank you so much for the information shared in our first segment. But I would like for you to share, how does purifying, cleansing, clearing relate to self-love and self-care?
I'll answer that in a moment, but can I share a thought on the quote that you shared?
Sure.
This comes to language. So he said, create the life you want. I always talk about creating the life you desire. And that's a very specific word choice. So I want people to think a moment about want and kind of gimme want. And that's kind of pooling energy. Give it to me. Whereas desire and deserve is claiming it.
Ooh, I love it.
Right? So just think about the energy behind the word. And so I'm sorry. So the question was back to decluttering and self-love and self-care.
Yeah, but let me go. I love that you mentioned that, because I really use that word desire, because want has a different connotation. And I thank you for clarifying that, because if we want to create a life we love or create something new, we kind of move away from want to more of our personal desire. So thank you for clarifying that. That's so important.
And I think because, sorry, you go ahead.
No. Continue.
We're talking about affirmations and intentions, and I'm working on a project, and someone said to me, the affirmation has to be, I am healed. I'm like, no, the affirmation is going to be, I am healing, because I'll mess up. Sorry to all the English teachers out there, but it's the present progressive term, I believe is what it's called. And so what that means is in the present moment, I'm constantly doing that. So that's why I want to be saying I am healing, right? Because I continue to do it. It hasn't passed. So that's why language is so important, because remember, we're saying this to our subconscious. It's what we're putting out, the signals that we're putting out to the universe. So just be very aware of your language and how you're saying things.
Perfect. Because we are always talking to ourselves. Right?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
So we can interrupt the faulty communication, substitute affirmations that are more encouraging, that will attract us what we desire and what we love. So I love what you're saying, helping us stay in the present. And really being more aware of how we're communicating with ourselves, because as we are having those internal dialogues, we're attracting, right, what we're thinking.
1,000%. Yeah. So for me, decluttering is definitely a part of self-love and self-care. self-care, right? Clutter is the stuff that doesn't matter, that's not important, that doesn't serve you. And so as you clear that, then you're focusing on what's important, and it helps you. We can talk about clutter. When you declutter, that helps you tune into your inner wisdom. And as I always say to my clients, you know what's best for you. I don't, but what I'm doing is helping you, supporting you of pulling that information out. So when you have the noise die down, then you can listen to your inner wisdom that can help guide you, right? I know, Jean, I'm Dr. Jean, I'm sure you're the same way, is that there have been times in our lives where like, oh my gosh, my intuition has saved me, or it has prevented me from making a huge mistake. And so it's so important to be in tune to that, and and being aware, like in the moment, what self-care do I need? And I'm going to use a dietary one as an example. And I try to eat a lot of protein and low carb, but I was craving pineapple for like a month, and I honored that because whatever it was, my body was saying, look, I probably need the bromelain, probably need to work on digestion here, eat some pineapple. And there are times when eating the salad is the best choice for us, but there are other times that bowl of mac and cheese is what we need to have in that moment, right? So if we're in tune in that, and we've cleared that kind of noise and decluttered, that's going to help us have spectacular self-care. And, I mentioned the affirmations of I'm worthy, I'm good enough, I'm loved, because that's where I see people get hung up, and they have those cluttered thoughts, or they have those cluttered emotions of what people told them, and they didn't believe that they were good enough. And so as you clear that, the voices in your head, the relationships that aren't good, the health that's keeping you or not being healthy and keeping you from being vibrant, all of that is decluttering. And that allows you to take care of yourself at the highest level.
Beautiful. Julie, I'd like for you to highlight or talk about this whole concept of hoarding that can really be maybe an offset of a mindset of lack or even greed that inhibits clearing. What's your take on that?
Well, I don't work with hoarders, and you definitely have to be specially trained. And I've talked to some people that do some alternative healing, and I believe a lot of hoarding is related to trauma, right? I mean, there are different, if you were to have trauma as a child, and, I believe a lot of us have a lot of trauma that we just haven't dealt with. And if you look at, I don't remember what it stands for, but it's the ACES scale, where you can answer a bunch of questions, and that tells you where you are on a trauma scale. But to me, it's like hoarding's the equivalent of taking drugs or drinking too much or overeating. It's just how the trauma has manifested it. And you can understand, for example, if, I had a friend that they grew up, weren't rich, but they were comfortable. And then all of a sudden his father lost his job, right? And so that sense of security has gone away. So if something like that's happened, you can easily understand how people are like, I can't let that go.
Yes.
Because what if I lose my job or something happens, right? And that there's a fear behind that. So I believe it really is trauma based. And I know that a lot of times there are some mental challenges that go along with hoarding. I believe hoarding is now, is it the DSM-V? I think we're up to 5 or 6, but it's now recognized as a mental issue. So I think that for me, I would say it really boils down to trauma and my understanding, and then with some mental challenges going on.
And so, if that's a real issue, there are professionals that can assist individuals with those kinds of issues.
Absolutely. I would definitely look with someone who is trained in hoarding, but I would share this. I worked with a client once, and one of our solutions was to simply put some blankets over some mess. And I said to her, your husband's a hoarder in the making. I said, he's not there yet. And I don't work with hoarders, but I know enough to recognize it. And I said, it was just creeping everywhere, and almost the top floor was full of stuff, and she didn't have any space. And I said, you need to get help for this. So just, that's something for your loved one, just be aware of that. Okay, you know what? If I notice the clutter keeps growing and growing and not going away, that can definitely be signs of hoarding.
Great. And Julie, let's talk about, if you will, shed light on the impact of negative emotions, jealousy, anger, negative feelings that impact our daily lives. Can you shed light on maybe clearing spiritual and emotional or mental clutter?
Sure. Well, so for emotional clutter, I want people to become aware, and I say this a lot, awareness plus action equals change, right? If we become aware of what's going on, then we can take action to change the habit and create the life that we desire. And so I first want to encourage people, don't label an emotion as good or bad. That's the first thing. And so, for instance, anger, I mean, we can go into a rage and we can harm someone or ourselves, or we can get so angry that it's finally the thing that's going to push us to change, right?
Yes.
So don't label your emotion. And then what is your emotion trying to tell you? Maybe the anger is saying, I need to set better boundaries, right?
Yes.
That's the time to sit quietly and tune in yourself. And what is this emotion trying to tell me, right? And then you take the action, whether it's setting a boundary or saying no to someone. And if the more in touch you are with your emotions, then you don't have the knee-jerk reaction, right? I'm betting everyone listening has had someone cut them off on traffic, or you accidentally cut someone off on traffic and they go berserk and you think, oh my gosh, they were in my blind spot. I didn't see them. What's going on? Why are they getting so upset, right? It's not about them being cut off. It's being upset about something else. So just becoming more aware of that. Now, where do I have that knee-jerk reaction, right? And then maybe being like, wow, I seem to have a lot of anger. What's that about? Or I seem to have a lot of sadness, right? And figuring out what can I declutter to help me be more balanced or help me be more joyful. So those are some tips I would say when it comes to clearing emotional clutter.
That's fantastic because, what's going on outside of us, a lot of people focus on that. Like you said, if you're stuck in traffic, you're focusing on the outside world, but it's all internal. So it brings us back to ourselves, truly. And do you find that people have a hard time taking a look at themselves to make change? Or how can we make that easier for those who have difficulty facing themselves or facing their fears?
Great question. I'm kind of chuckling to myself because there's someone I know and who just doesn't care. Someone I would consider an acquaintance, and it's obvious doesn't care if she hurts other people or what's going on. Isn't interested in self-examination. So I would say people that I work with usually have come to a point where they're stuck, they're upset, they don't know what to do, and they're like, I want to change. I desire to change. I don't know where to start, right? Because something has happened that has pushed them to the point where they want to do that. There are definitely people that, and you hit the nail on the head, that are afraid. What's going to happen if I examine that? So what I would say to people are like, you know what? I'm just a little fearful. First of all, we all have our stuff. Dr. Jean and I have our stuff,
indeed.
right? We've been doing this. We both lead a spiritual life and are trying to be the best women we can be, but we have our stuff still. Yes. And so know that you're not alone, right? I think that that's what's most important. And it's kind of like when you hold on to that fear, it takes so much energy. It takes so much time to hold on to these fear. And what is fear? False evidence appearing real. That when you take that step forward, I'll have myself as an example. So I had some trauma happen to me as a child, and I was very afraid to look at it. And when I started to look at it, I felt like I had lost 100 pounds because trying to hold on to all that energy, trying to hold on to that, it was a huge relief to move forward. So I promise you, if you're listening and struggling, that you're going to feel better when you start to examine it and start to take action and move forward.
And Julie, that is fantastic because I too did a thorough self-examination going back through my life, looking at those challenging times, the happy times, the sadness. And it really, some days I cried, some days I laughed, with a sense of humor, but I was easy on myself. I knew when to stop, and when to do something joyful. So self-examination or reflection, there are perhaps some intense moments, but you have to be gentle with yourself and give yourself a break.
1,000%. I mean, show yourself compassion. If it was your BFF that came to you, or your child, or your sister, your mother, you wouldn't berate them. You would comfort them and be like, I'm so proud of you for doing this. It's hard. We can do it together. And that's just a reminder, find that support system. And people said, wow, I'm in a rural area. And I said, okay, but there you can find support systems online, right?
Indeed.
And what was that great quote by Goethe? Something along the lines of, if you take that first step, the universe will rise up and meet you. And I believe that. You say, okay, I'm ready to heal. I'm going to start. And then you start to meet people, or a book comes into your path, or you're listening to this podcast episode, right? The universe will conspire to support you.
Indeed. But Julie, it can be overwhelming. How can we start preparing?
That's a great question. Start with one tiny task. If you're like, my house needs cleaned, I'm over emotional, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we start somewhere. So I say, okay, this is what I feel the urgency to work on most. So let's say it's emotional. Okay, well, let me sit down and I'm going to devote 5 to 10 minutes each week to examining this issue. And it's maybe the first step is you say, okay, what do I seem to have a lot of emotions of that are negative, that aren't supporting me, that aren't helpful? Okay. I seem to be depressed a lot. Okay. All right. So it's done that. So the second step, maybe the next day, is say, well, is there someone I can talk to? Or let me research depression. Maybe there's something that I don't know. Right. And then maybe on the third day, you reach out to a friend and say, hey, I'm thinking that maybe my sadness has been going on a little bit. Do you have any suggestions of someone that I can talk to? And maybe the fourth day you research your health benefits and say, oh my gosh, you know what? I can see a mental health counselor, right? And so you break everything down into these little steps, and then you keep moving forward. And, asking for support is so important. We think, especially I believe here in America, we're like, oh, the rugged individual, we need to go it alone. No, you don't. Mm-hmm. And, when you share your struggles and open up and be vulnerable, you give other people permission to do that. You might be surprised. Someone will say, you know what? I've been struggling with that too. Maybe it's something that we can support each other now, and let's do some research, or let's commit to coffee once a week where we share our struggles and see how we can find solutions.
Beautifully said. Well, Julie, I think we are ready for a commercial break. So for our listeners, don't go away. We'll be right back with our outstanding guest, Julie Coraccio, founder of Reawaken Your Brilliance, award-winning professional life and end-of-life organizer, certified life coach. And if you haven't gotten her book, you should. Got Clutter, 365 journal prompts, reclaim time, money, sanity, and resources. And who doesn't want to do that? On our show today, Purge, Purify, Cleanse, Awaken to Spring. Stay tuned. We'll return shortly.
I'm Judy Satori. I'm a spiritual channel and activator of human potential. You might have heard me speaking on the Voice of America on Dr. Jean Farish's show, Love Light, because I've been speaking about the challenges that are besetting all of us right now and how we can surrender but also keep on going. I want to invite you to join my new Facebook group that is devoted to heart-centered connection and unity. Through this Facebook group, you can also join my free access question and answer session with Spirit on the first Wednesday to Thursday of every month. Just search Ascension Community on Facebook to join the group. In this session, I answer questions and transmit energy from Spirit to give you guidance and support. Because life on planet Earth ain't easy right now, and there is so much help from above, from beings of love and light, from multidimensional realities who are actually here with us, wanting to step up and support us. I welcome you to become part of our ongoing group conversation about evolutionary change and how it's affecting us as human beings and affecting our life today. Many blessings to you. You can find out more about me and my work at www.ascensionlibrary.org. Have a wonderful day.
Announcing Dr. Jean Marie Farish's new book, Love Mastery Devotion Journal, 21-day weekly prompts and affirmations. This is the companion piece to Dr. Farish's best-selling book, Living in the Spirit of Love, Our Natural State of Being. Through the new book, We invite you to cultivate a lifestyle of love through daily devotional practices over a 21-day period following 9 ingredients in the recipe of love. Love Mastery Devotion Journal, 21-day weekly prompts and affirmations is available on Amazon.com and Balboa Press. Vicki Winterton and Dr. Jean Marie Farish have compiled a dynamic book, We're All in This Together, Embrace One Another, an anthology with 24 highly diverse co-authors who share how to spread the message of love, resilience, inclusivity, and compassion. This book is an invaluable source of uplifting, inspiring, and positive insights for spreading positivity in the world. We're All in This Together, Embrace One Another is available on Amazon.com. Be sure to get your copy today.
Jean Marie Farish's Center for Conscious Loving, LLC, cultivates a lifestyle of love and wholehearted connections through personal growth, altruistic services, and speaking engagements. Resources include classes, workshops, life care coaching, and creative service projects with an emphasis on cultural arts. Visit the website at drjeanmariefarish-consciousloving.com. That's drjeanmariefarish-consciousloving.com. Or click the link on the Love Light show page.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You are tuned in to Love Light with Dr. Jean Marie Farish. Feel free to connect with our program through email or check out our links on Facebook. Reach Jean at Jean72Farish@yahoo.com. That's Jean72Farish@yahoo.com. And now, back to Love Light.
Well, welcome back. You've been listening to Love Light, Living in the Spirit of Love. And today we have a fantastic show, Purge, Purify, Cleanse, Awaken to Spring with our outstanding guest, Julie Coraccio, founder of Reawaken Your Brilliance, award-winning professional life and end-of-life organizer, certified life coach. And Julie is the author of Clutter, 365 Journal Prompts, Reclaim Time, Money, Sanity, and Resources. And Julie, do you find that when people start clearing the clutter, does this create a ripple effect? And how does this affect others?
Oh, 1,000%. I mean, I'll work with people and it's like pulling their teeth. But then once we've been doing it, I'll get emails, hey, I did this today. And they didn't need any prompting from me. So it absolutely does. It's like anything. It's like a muscle. Consider decluttering like your muscle, and you've got to work and build that. And absolutely has a ripple effect, right? Everything's energy. And so as I heal, you heal. As I declutter, you declutter, right? The inner reflects the outer. So it is making a difference. And remember, sometimes you can't see things and what's going on, but that energy is always working behind the scenes. And, you know, it's like as you declutter, you give other people permission to clutter, right? Because we never know what's going on in people's lives or what messages they've been told. And, you know, if they had a parent that was a hoarder, for example, they might be like, oh, this is how it is and this is normal. But when you say, hey, you know what, you can clear your clutter too, then that gives them permission as well.
And Julie, for me, the litmus test is, how does it make you feel? If you feel better, you want to you desire to continue doing what you've done to make your life easier. And as you feel better and feel good about what you're doing, it's a self-motivating and self-empowering strategy.
It absolutely is. Can we talk about energetic clutter for a moment?
Sure.
We're talking about purifying, renewing, because I want people to remember, right, that energetic clutter is real. And so the examples, if you're listening, not sure, you probably heard the expression, the tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife, right? Yes. Or if sorry guys, but if you've met a politician and maybe I used to work in City Hall in Los Angeles and a couple days would want to go home early and shower, right? So that's examples of energetic clutter. Or if you are an empath, that means you take on other people's feelings and emotions. I have a good friend that's like this, and she can be happy, but then all of a sudden, if someone is sad and comes into the room, that can really affect her. So that's what I'm talking about with energetic clutter. So as we're talking about renewing and replenishing and all that good stuff and spring cleaning, consider clearing your energetic clutter. So let's start with the home for a moment. What room feels stuck to you? Or if you go and you're like, I've had people avoid rooms, right? You're like, oh, I don't want to go in that room, but why? What is it that maybe it feels heavy to you and could really use a good cleaning? So here are some ways that you can clear energetic clutter. And again, make this fun. This has a myriad. You could choose numerous ways to declutter your space, and it's something to have fun with. So maybe you smudge with a sage stick, right? Oh, I love the smell of when you light that and that sage. Oh, it's just really great. But that helps you clear all that right? Because clutter is stuck, stagnant energy. So you can also, another thing I like to do when I go to the ocean, I bring back some seawater, and I have a seashell, and I like to put some seawater in that and then take a flower and dip it and then go around and bless the house and move the energy. And I also like to take the ocean water and go all around the outside of my house. I read once that that's kind of can be a protective field. So I believe it. So I do it. Or essential oils, right? That's something, right? You can put a few drops in a spritzer and spritz the room. I mean, and lots of fun. Lavender, or lime if you want something bright to lift you up. Sound's also a possibility. I have a Tibetan singing bowl that I use, and I think that that's great. And if you're like, I don't have anything, use your hands, clap, and don't forget to get into those corners, because that's where energy can kind of lurk and hide and stay stuck. It's really important. Sea salt, I mentioned the ocean water, that's something that you can use. And then spend time and see, okay, good. This room is starting to feel like I have finally cleared it. This feels really good. And then the other thing I would say is, once you've cleared the energetic clutter, is set intentions. So I'm sitting in my office. So some of my intentions for my office are to be abundant, to make money so the cats live a life of luxury. I want to be creative in my office, right? And think about those different things, kind of the energy and the intent and the purpose for each of your rooms. So your bedroom, it might be for reflection, for good sleep every night, to feel relaxed. So you declutter and then you set the intention.
I love those tips for energetic clearing and decluttering. The nature walks, the smudging, essential oils, the sea salt baths or whatever, even fresh air, letting fresh air circulate, right? Simple things. And as we stated earlier, let it be a family project. Perhaps there are rooms that have certain kinds of energies for other family members, right? That you want to really sit down and perhaps discuss. And you can do this as a fun project to clear your space for the family.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really fun to get involved. And I loved how you mentioned, especially with spring, opening up those windows. They haven't been open in a while, and you have kind of the stagnant winter. Get some fresh spring air in, and make sure you're getting enough light, right? That's something we all need, vitamin D, and that's important. And, those are little changes, and those don't cost you anything, but they can make a huge difference.
And Julie, it can really help you in terms of uplifting your mood.
Absolutely. Can make a huge difference. One thing that I try to do every day, and we're fortunate, is get outside in nature.
Yes, I love nature walks. Yes, indeed. It's automatically cleansing when we connect with nature. So,
yes. They've talked, I think it started in Japan. They've talked about, I believe they call it tree bathing, right? Where you just go hang out in a forest. And, and nature is so cleansing, is so healing to us. When I'm sad, I live in a place, literally, it's called Forest Hills is our neighborhood, because we have a bunch of trees. And I'm telling you, I try to walk every day, and our neighborhood's about 100 years old, but they built another neighborhood right off our road, goes to the left when we go to the right. and it was built in the 80s, and they clear cut all the trees. And I'm telling you,
oh my,
it is a night and day difference. And all you have to do is walk the neighborhoods and you can feel it. I mean, really, nature has a huge impact on us.
It does. And, if you don't have a neighborhood, or if you're in a neighborhood where they've cut down all the trees or whatever, find those special places. Like for me, I have favorite places that are for our harbor walk, where I can take a walk around the lake and see the blue herons and, the boats. And it gives me a sense of peace and calm. And I know when it's time for me to do that.
Yeah.
And so begin anew. Decluttering in all areas gives you freedom, right? And hey, how good is that?
Oh, it absolutely does, right? Because our clutter keeps us down. It makes us feel burdened. Clutter is a burden. And so when you lift that, again, it can be a relationship where someone's bringing you down instead of lifting you up. And I just want to remind people, and if you haven't seen on YouTube, they do an experiment with water and how they talk to the water, and then they look at the crystals, and you see the huge difference and we're 80%, 75% water. And so that's why, as we've been talking about intentions today and affirmations, that's loving yourself, because your body and your whole being is absorbing that. So if you have someone, they say that we become like the people that we hang out with the most. Yes. So if you are hanging out with people that gripe and complain all the time, then you're probably going to start to gripe and complain, right? And that's that clutter. So you want to, and it doesn't need to be mean. It just is like, you can let a relationship fade, but you want to hang out with people who inspire you, who bring you joy, who support and uplift you. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. Clutter really is in all areas of our lives.
That is a fantastic point. And also, if you have an accumulation of things, you can be charitable or generous in giving things away to others, right? Because sometimes, we holding on to things that you've had 10, 15, 5 years ago, maybe those are all outworn, and we can bless others with, by giving away.
You can't ask the universe to deliver if your house is full of stuff, or your heart is full of stuff, or your mind is full of stuff. How can it? It can't get in. And it's about being in the flow and keeping that energy moving. And I'm glad that you brought up about donating. One thing that I think is really helpful I say this a lot with kids, but I believe it's equally as helpful to adults, is that find a charity that you love. Right. And then that's going to help motivate you to release it. And if a child, sometimes kids, I don't want to let that go. But if you visit a charity and say, oh, you know what? See, your stuffed animals are going to go to a good home. There's someone who doesn't have much who's going to use that. Or it's the stuffed animal is going to be to help comfort a puppy or a kitty in the animal shelter. Right. And so then they can make that connection. Okay, it's not just going to be thrown away. Someone's going to care for it. Someone's going to love it. That's something that can support people in letting things go.
Yes, and teaching our children how to be compassionate and generous. So, Julie, how can our listeners connect with you and learn more about what you can do, and maybe highlight some of your services before we close out?
Sure. Thank you. If they go to reawakenyourbrilliance.com, they can connect with me on social media, find my podcast. I offer 10 free quick tips to declutter your life right now when they sign up for my free newsletter. I do speaking, coaching, have classes, all the books, obviously, and courses, everything to get you to decluttering your life now.
All right. And you have a giveaway or anything that our listeners can, have as a gift?
Sure. If they sign up for the newsletter, that's right away, the 10 things, I give them a take action item to declutter their life.
All right. Well, Julie, thank you so much for being on Love Light today on this most empowering show. And I'm sure our listeners are truly inspired to do their spring cleaning, to release, clear, and be free. It's an opportunity for new beginnings. So we invite listeners to listen back on demand and share our show with others. Connect with Julie to learn more.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so begin anew with my new book, Thoughts for Today, that's available on Amazon in print and ebook format. Much gratitude to the Voice America team for making this show a reality and for shining their love light around the world. When we purge, purify, and cleanse, we feel unburdened and free. And I close with 2 thoughts on divine simplicity and restoration. True essence of nature, natural beauty, goodness, and harmony that brings stability, gracious living, and overflow of love. Be content and grateful for the provisions bestowed upon you. See the beauty and abundance and simplicity. Trust that your needs are met in accordance with divine timing. Attributes of simplicity are priceless. And I close with thoughts on divine simplicity, restoration. Restore, rebuild, and reinvent yourself. Lose regret, sorrow, pain, and loss. Gain happiness, joy, and abundance. Sustain a willing spirit and rejoice in rebirth of the new you. Ask, believe, and be open to receive more and better. Release fear and return to your natural state of being, divine love. This is Dr. Jean Marie, your Love Light host, coming to you from the Voice America Empowerment Channel. And until we meet again, remember, an empowered self is a loving self. And keep your love light shining. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Thank you for listening to Love Light this week. Be sure to join Dr. Jean Marie Farish again for another program next Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and noon Eastern Time on the Voice America Empowerment Channel. Have a wonderful week filled with love, self-worth, and better connections.